Houston for three. No. Long rebound this time in the hands of Mario Elie. And here come the Rockets in transition. Nice drive by Elie.
Those are the type of points that Van Gundy and the Knicks cannot afford.
Turnover, Houston. Here's Elie again. Turnover, New York, and the foul. Transition defense.
Yeah, just watch the Knicks here. Back to the basket. That's one of the first things you're taught when you're playing basketball is turn around, always see the ball. The Knicks talk about wild cards. He's the wild card tonight because he has a definite advantage at the point guard position in quickness.
See kick left side to Elie, underneath to Olajuwon. Skip pass. Maloney for three. That's gone very well. Is the manner in which he's handled the six-man role after being a starter.
Yeah, no one thought he would accept it.
Elie. How about that?
Chris Childs and Elie. Chris Childs decides to go to the basket. Mario Elie releases, and no one sees him. And that's the guy who's back. In that case, it was Allen Houston.
Yes, Childs has 10 points. 69 seconds to go. Here's Mario Elie for three. Mario Elie donates $60 for every three-pointer he makes. You, Doc. And I remember, that's when I first met him. Underneath, another turnover from New York. 6 points for Oakley. The basket will count, and Olajuwon goes to the free throw line.
That's the second time Oakley's tried to front and slip down, and John Wallace he did a great job helping. They are fortunate that the ball went in.
Houston guards Drexler, who goes baseline and finds Mario Elie. Maloney kicks it back to Elie for three. Got it.
Dominating defensive rebounds right now.
Drexler in the post. Olajuwon finds Elie cutting. Got it. Mario Elie, who is Livingston. Houston comes out to defend. They find Olajuwon. He finds Elie for three. And Mario Elie, perfect tonight. And then 7 months in Dublin, he said that was the best time in his professional career.
Even over the championships? They have something over there I didn't know about.
Well, I think it's longer. Points and back to a 6-point margin. Underneath it goes to Olajuwon. Goes baseline, puts it up, draws.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Go School Retro NBA, episode 16, where I'm here to talk about none other than Mario Elie. If you guys don't know who Mario Elie is, I suggest you stay tuned because you're going to miss out on a really good role player that turned himself into a 3-time champion, a.k.a. Junkyard Dog, a.k.a. Kiss of Death. Sapase Abule. He's of Haitian descent. Anyways, welcome guys back to another fire episode of Go School Retro NBA. Mario Elie, Kiss of Death, episode 16. So let's get it started. Mario Elie comes into the playing basketball, and you guys don't know, he's a New York City man, born and bred. This man was tenacious defender, a good shooter, and he didn't take back down from any challenge. He was a glue guy, a role player that got it through the mud. Let's start off with his career. He played Power Memorial High School, and he loved the game of basketball. He attended Power Memorial High School, and a lot of people don't notice that he attended that school and played basketball with one of the best basketball players that ever to come out of New York, and St. John's legend and Golden State Warrior legend, Chris Mullin, another great basketball player that came out of New York City, one of the many greats, along with Mario Elie and a slew of others, and Kenny Anderson, Mark Jackson, and many other guys. And let me tell you something, this guy was very good. Although he was a very solid player in high school, he didn't receive any D1 recruits, so he ended up he goes on to play for American International College and plays all 4 years in American International College. Ended up leading them to Division II quarterfinals and actually became the all-time leading scorer for the school. So that's pretty cool feat by Mario Elie, Junkyard Dog. He goes into the NBA and gets selected by the Milwaukee Bucks at the 160th pick, 2 picks away from being the last, and was cut by the Milwaukee Bucks. He had an unfortunate round into the NBA. He basically had to get it out the mud and had to work his way up, and If you guys know me, I know I love these stories of a good comeback story, a story where people were counted out. And Mario Elie was one of those guys that was kind of, a lot of people remember Mario Elie for being the champion that he was, a role player that eventually entrusted himself into starting roles with title teams, multiple title teams. But a lot of people don't know this story that I'm going to get to going on with Mario Elie. Unfortunately, he gets cut by the Milwaukee Bucks, as I touched on, and he ends up taking the overseas route and ends up in Ireland, Dublin, playing for Kilster. After the stint with Kilster, he moved on to the USBL and ended up playing for the Miami Tropics, following stints with Argentina at Santa Fe, and played 8 games with them as well. He goes on to Portugal, where he actually wins the title with Overens and leads them to a title, which is pretty dope by Mario Elie. After that, he followed a stint in the CBA with the Albany Patrons, where he became 2-time All-CBA first team. Finishes his tour as the Irish National Cup champion, Irish National Player of the Year, which is pretty dope. I mean, he was tearing down awards down in overseas, and it just shows the effort and the work that he put in, the dedication to try to work his way back in to the NBA. And I thought that was pretty cool by Mario Elie, because it just shows the dog in him and the New Yorker in him and grit in him that he's going to get it out the mud and he's going to make it one way or another. He ends up in Portugal, where he's a cup winner, and he ends up being a Portuguese league champion. And in his final tour, before returning back to the NBA, he was a CBA All-Star. So it goes to tell you that he was knocking down awards left and right and getting a lot of recognition in multiple leagues. So the eyes were being kept on him, and eventually he would be picked up by the Philadelphia 76ers. Unfortunately, he only stays 10 days when the 10-day contract is only featured in 3 games with the 76ers. He's eventually picked up by the Warriors, and this is the start of where he starts to turn the corner. Because if you guys don't know the Warriors in that 1991 year, we're talking about Run TMC. And if you guys don't know who Run TMC is, man, I suggest you look at them videos and you watch Run TMC, because I had the pleasure of watching them as a kid. And let me tell you, that was Mitch, Tim, and Chris. And those guys were just, I'm talking about their offense, man, was just so fun to watch, man. I mean, they were so good. And adding Mario to the mix along with Sarunas Marciulionis. I remember that team, Tom Tolbert, Vincent Askew. They had a lot of guys on that team that could get a bucket, man. I mean, you talking about you had 3 scorers that were putting up 20 points per game. That's pretty dope, man. That shows how fluid their offense was. They had shooters. They had good rebounders. They weren't really particularly good defensively. That was their downfall. But Mario always brought that, because if everybody don't know, Mario Elie was pretty much well known for his rugged and tough defense. Even though he could shoot the ball at a high clip, but a lot of Mario gave it up defensively. And I thought that was, I'm a guy that I love scoring as much as I love defense. So I appreciate that Mario was the best of both worlds on that aspect. He would spend 2 seasons with the Warriors. Following the stint with the Warriors, he ends up in Portland that following season, 92-93, where he would then end up being traded to the Houston Rockets. And this is another area where he would turn the corner in his career, because he ends up becoming a 2-time champion there. And he brought a lot of toughness to those good Rocket teams, those 2 title teams with the Rockets. And the path that I love that Mario brought when he went to the Rockets, that he basically started from the bottom and went up. Like, he was known as the role player, but he eventually grinded himself into actually the NBA Finals, actually became a starter. And I remember, man, you guys know the iconic moment I'm going to talk to you guys about, when he hits that 3 in the corner against the Phoenix Suns in the semifinals with 7.1 seconds left. He's in the corner, catches the ball, and switches in a corner 3. And then he looks at the bench, and then he gives them the kiss of death. It just goes to show you the dog in him. And this is the New York Mario Elie I'm talking about, because Mario Elie was a dog. That was the definition. That's why they called him Junkyard Dog in the league. Because if you needed Mario, and another thing on the Rockets team that I noticed about Mario watching him as a kid was, people don't talk about it. You know, when you think about Mario Elie, you think about his shooting, you think about his tenacious defense, his physicalness, coming up big in clutch situations. But he was a very underrated passer. Like, he was a good passer. The guy that could play the 2 and the 3. You could get him at the wing, or you could put him at the shooting guard. But he was a very good passer. I always felt like that he doesn't get talked about a lot, but he was a good passer, Mario Elie. And I thought that, it wasn't really spoken of too much about it. But if you watch a lot of Mario Elie, like games, highlights, even to this day, he was a really good passer, especially with him and Hakeem Olajuwon. He had an acumen for knowing where Hakeem was, how to hit him in the right spots. And I always thought that was a really pretty cool feat by Mario Elie. And we're talking about Mario Elie. I mean, when he grinded his way into that starting role in the finals, this man put up 16.3 points per game and shooting 65% from the field. Do you know what that is? I mean, we're talking about Mario Elie, the journey that he took to the NBA. Now he just literally entrusted himself into a finals role, a starting role at that, and 16.3 points per game and shooting 65%. Man, that man got New York written all over him, man. It's just the grit and grind and getting it out the mud and starting from the bottom and up, man. I mean, it goes to a testament to show you how dedicated his work ethic is, and that's what he's known for. And it just shows you what he brought to teams and multiple title teams, when I'm gonna get to later. And it just feels like, Mario Elie doesn't get the love. I mean, people are starting to catch on a little bit now. But Mario Elie doesn't get the flowers and the love that I think he deserves. But he was a part of some great teams, man. I mean, I just loved it. I loved what he did in the game. I loved him being that he's, from New York like myself. And having the fortunate opportunity to see him on TV play as a child and a teen is something I could recall like it was yesterday, man. And this is coming from me as a Knicks fan. I mean, took away 2 titles from us that he was a big part of, but ultimately, man, I'm a New Yorker, and when I see greatness and I see somebody from New York like myself doing what he did, even though it hurt me at the moment, man, I still got PTSD from it, from when he knocked us out with the Rockets and the Spurs, and he was a part of those 2 title teams that were against the Knicks. And I remember Mario hitting key 3-pointers, grabbing boards, pushing the pace. And there was one moment, it was a free throw shot, I remember vividly, and he grabbed the rebound. I mean, he didn't grab the rebound. I think it was the forward that grabbed the rebound. And Mario Elie beats John Starks down the court and hits a layup. And I'm like, yo, this guy is like, I'm talking about like high basketball IQ, man. And he was a big solid guy, man. I mean, he was pretty in shape, man. And, it was just, he was a very versatile wing, a versatile shooter. And, he ended up finishing the season with the Rockets. And after his 2 title runs with the Rockets, he ends up signing with another team that had a really good team, the Spurs, that had the Twin Towers in Duncan and Robinson. And, man, I remember that series like it was yesterday, man. I'm still shaking in my boots thinking about it, because I remember I stood in front of that TV puzzle, man. Because what the Knicks became after that, it's been rough, up until recently. But Mario Elie was a key part in bringing their first actual title with the Spurs. That was their first ever NBA title, that he was a part of, and he was a key contributor on that team, man. I mean, I remember him when the Knicks would go on runs, and he would hit timely hoops, passing acumen, and not to mention, man, he gave the opposing wings hell, man, on defense. That's what he was known for. He was known for his defense, and that's why they called him Junkyard Dog, because he was that guy that he would give you hell. He would do a lot of trash talking, and I know a lot of Knicks fans didn't like that, but I remember him trash talking a lot. Man, I'm from New York, so I love all that type of stuff. Especially me, man. I play the game organizationally, so I thrive off trash talk. When people are talking trash, I like that. In real life, aspect myself. Then seeing him, come up from where he came up through and his way to the NBA, man, and to become a 2-time champion and winning one with the Spurs. Like, I just love it, man. I just think it's phenomenal from what he came from. Being a 3-time champion, man, and sacrificing his body and, defense, hitting shots. I mean, I'm talking about Mario Elie was a jack of all trades. I mean, that's a guy that a title team needs. Every title team needs that, even to this day. You need a Mario Elie on your team. And after he won that illustrious title, bringing home to San Antonio their first illustrious title, he finishes out his 2001 career with the Phoenix Suns, where he would eventually retire. He finishes his career with 6,265 points and 732 games, while being a 3-time NBA champion, 94, 95, and 1999. So this goes to tell you what type of person he was, what type of winner he was, and why he was called the Junkyard Dog, because that man was a big reason why the Rockets and the Spurs won titles. And not to mention, just the dog in him. He finishes his career with 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. And he ends up being inducted into the New York Basketball Hall of Fame, which is pretty dope. Just goes to tell you the hard work and dedication he put into the game from beginning to end. And he's actually, people don't know this, he's a top 10 Houston Rocket all time. A lot of people don't know that about Mario. So it goes to tell you what he's done and what he's provided and what he's accomplished in the game in many facets of it. So this goes to tell you what a dog he is. After finishing his 15-year illustrious careers in the NBA, he would actually venture into coaching, where he was have stints with the Spurs, Mavericks, Nets, Kings, and Magic. So not only is he a master player of the game, but he's actually a mastermind at teaching the game, because he was a part of multiple teams, teaching the younger generation and players coming into the league, schooling them on how to, master their game at the professional level. After Mario Elie's coaching stints ended, he ended up marrying Gina Gaston, a Houston journalist, and he has triplets. Pretty cool. And I want to have triplets one day, or even if I have babies. But, he started his family, started to live his life after basketball. And a lot of people don't notice he speaks 4 languages. He is of Haitian descent, ça passe à voler. He speaks Portuguese, English, French, and Spanish from his stints with Argentina, Portugal, and throughout the U.S. and Europe. He just is... what more can you say about Mario Elie, man? I had to give this man his flowers, and this episode is going to stick with me because, like I said, he's from New York, and I love basketball players that hearing their wonderful stories of how they had to grind and get to where they had to be, and he's the poster boy for that. And I just think Mario Elie deserves his flowers, and let's work on getting him possibly in the Hall of Fame in the NBA. We got him in New York. Let's take the next step, So let's make it happen, Commissioner. But that's going to wrap it up with episode 16 of Go School Retro NBA. Mario Elie, a.k.a. Junkyard Dog, a.k.a. Kiss of Death. Thank you all for tuning in. If you guys don't know, follow me on all platforms. Ari Hoops 84 on Twitter. I'm on YouTube as well, Go School Retro NBA, as well as Spotify and TikTok. But before I go, let's drop that video of him in that semifinals against Phoenix that everybody knows him for, and enjoy the clip. Thank you all for tuning in. More fire episodes coming because basketball season's right around the corner, and I got good content coming for you. I love you guys, all my day one supporters, new ones. Just continue to support. I got a lot of good surprises coming up. Thank you all. Enjoy the clip of Kiss of Death. My love, y'all.
We ain't used a series in a year and a half, man. We ain't gonna start tonight. We ain't starting tonight.
Elie out of the corner for 3. Mario Elie with a 3.
Mario Elie has given the Houston Rockets a 3-point lead.